You guys want to know why I love spring? Because it's one step closer to the love of my life, summer. Hello, my gorgeous ones. Welcome to Alicia Budget Beauty. My name is Alicia. Here on my channel, I love affordable fashion and beauty. I do hauls, tutorials, reviews, all sorts of fun stuff. So if that sounds good to you, please subscribe and be a part of my family. And today I've seen a lot of people do these best Halloween palettes, best, like winter palettes, spring palettes, and I've been kind of missing the boat on that. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to share the palettes that I have that I think are perfect for spring. And I have 15 of them that I personally have used either multiple times or a few times. Then I have 2 honorable mentions that are in my collection that I have yet to touch, but that I predict are going to be favorites and that I think would be perfect for spring. So if you'd like to take a look at 15 plus 2 beautiful spring looking palettes, keep on watching. Okay, now some of these you may have already seen me share either recently or just on my channel in general, but that's just what happens sometimes. Like favorite palettes end up in different videos. So just recently I was sharing the Gourmande Girls Ethereal palette. I used it in the month of February. So it's in that video of all the palettes I used in February. So if you want to go check that out, go check out that video. But I chose this one for spring for very obvious reasons. Like this is definitely a spring looking palette. This is what I call a companion palette where these are all either duochromes, shimmers, metallics, and it is just a perfect one to pair if you have mattes that you don't know what to do with and you need like a special shade in there. This is perfect for that. This just looks like Easter to me. It is stunning, amazing quality, shifty, gorgeous, buttery duochromes in here. Highly recommend this. I do have a code with Gourmande Girls, no commission. It is Budget Beauty if you want to save 10%. Next, I have one that I think gets a little bit swept under the rug. It's an older palette, and I think it's underrated. It is the Nabla Secret palette. I love this palette, and as a matter of fact, this is one of the palettes that got me really excited about eyeshadows. I've had this one for about 2.5 years now. And it was before I started my channel, before I started my Instagram, and I bought this off of Ulta and was like, oh, this is different. This isn't like, I think at the time I only had, my collection was tiny compared to now. I probably had 10 palettes. Now I have like 400, but this was different for me. And I think this one shade in here, Big Experience, is this gorgeous pink shimmer. And I just think you've got a nice mix of like soft romantic neutrals in here, but you have a couple of pops of color with the pink, the blue, and kind of this like gold shade up here is fun. So I really like this palette, and I'm kind of sad that people don't talk about Nabla's eyeshadows that much because I think, at least with that palette, it's really good. Then we have the Soulmane 2 palette. I believe Oden's Eye brought this back recently to purchase. I don't know about now, but I know not that long ago you could get it again. This is my favorite Oden's Eye palette, and I have quite a few. I also love Giant Wools, but that's no longer available. But this is just high quality, top-notch shadows. I love the blues. The tones in here is the thing. The blues and the purples, the tones are just gorgeous on the eyes. So beautiful. Then you've got this fun pops of like orange and yellow in here. I love this. This could also cross over into summer as well. I hate to include this palette because you can't get it, but I have to, like, this is also partially just to show my collection. This is one of my favorite palettes in my entire collection. It's the Encanto palette from Alamar Cosmetics. It like pains me that this was not a permanent palette. This collection was one of the best collections I've ever owned, ever used. I loved it so much. I love the shades in here. The quality is amazing. I just think it's a perfectly curated 10-pan palette. And it's just such a shame. I won't go on too long since, it's not available anymore, but the packaging, everything. I guess the benefit of me talking about it is if they come out with another collab and you're not sure about the quality, go for it. That was amazing. Then we have what I actually have on my eyes today, and I apologize, the lighting is not so great. I wanted to film this in the open space that you sometimes see me film in. That is like where I have giant windows and natural lighting coming in, and the kids are being crazy, and my husband's listening to TikToks that are really obnoxious. So I had to come in this room again, and the lighting is not great, so I apologize. But I do have this on my eyes today. This is the Fairy Tale Fairies palette from Simply Posh Cosmetics. I honestly think if I had to pick one spring palette to wear all the rest of the springs of my life, it would be this one. It is just so beautiful. The mattes work so well. They build up. There's like literally no fallout in this. The duochromes in here, shimmer, they're so pretty. Of course, it goes like more pastels to deeper, so you can keep it light like I did today, or you can go deeper here too. This is an outstanding palette. If you haven't tried Simply Posh, you simply must, okay? All right, then we have a higher end palette, but don't worry, I've got a couple of like inexpensive ones in here. This is Utopian Dream by Pat McGrath. And honestly, I've only used this palette twice. I've had it for quite a while. Well, not that long, a couple of months. But I'm putting this in here because I think it does look like spring to me. You have these beautiful special shades in here that are just, oh my gosh, like so pretty. Oh my gosh, this one is like my favorite. I did play with this one both times I used it, but it shifts like pink, purple, gold, green. It is so shifty and gorgeous. And honestly, it's really hard for me to pick my favorite Pat McGrath mothership because I just go back and forth sometimes, but this may end up being my favorite. I need to go back through all of mine. I need to use them again a couple of times each and then do a whole video ranking of them. But there's some I would definitely put lower than this one. And if you've ever considered getting it, this is one of the best ones that you can get. All right, next we have Candy Skies. This is Laura Lee, Los Angeles. This is a beautiful palette. This is Easter. This is like screams Easter, screams spring. I think the quality of this is very nice. It's very easy to use. It's not like overly pigmented, but it's not pigmented. This is a beautiful palette, and if you love pastels, I do recommend it. Next, we have a more drugstore palette. Well, it is drugstore. This is the Profusion Desert Sage palette. Now, online, this doesn't have the best reviews, but I really like this palette. Now, I've been doing a lot of decluttering lately, and I've been trying to go through like, is it great? And if it's not, I get rid of it. Unless my other qualifier is I've been keeping inexpensive palettes, drugstore palettes that perform really well. Maybe they don't perform on the same level as my, you know, indie brand or like Pat McGrath, but I think this has a value because I like to have options to show people looks that you don't have to spend a ton for. And this is a really good palette. You get tons of shades. I know people were concerned with the shapes and if you could get your brush in there, but honestly, I had no problem getting my brush into the little shapes, and I think it performs really well. And I just think the packaging was really cute too. All right, you can hear the kids slamming doors. This is why I'm in here in this dark room. All right, we have a couple of Nomad palettes. We have the Fits de Provence. Definitely spring vibes with this one. This is one that really, I think, grew on people because when it first came out, I think a lot of people were underwhelmed, but I've actually seen some people rank this as their top Nomad palette. So there's so much that you can do with this. You can go really soft. You can go, you know, more of these kind of like sunset looking shades here. And I said when I saw this palette, it goes like day to night, like as if the sun rose and set. And I just think this looks like a day to night, like spring palette, and it's really great quality. And it's really risen the ranks as one of my favorite Nomads as well. Then we have the Tokyo palette. Now, this is the pastel palette from Nomad, and this is kind of a controversial palette as far as I know a few people who it's their favorite palette and their favorite pastel palette. And then I know a bunch of people who it's their bottom of the Nomad rankings. So I think it just depends. Not everyone really likes pastels. So if you like pastels and you don't mind building up, this one takes some build up, and you want a few special shades like this has, like some shifty, like pink. This is like a topper shade. This does have their topper shades, by the way. Not everyone enjoys their topper shades, but if you don't mind all of those, this might be an option for you. Then we also have another Nomad. This is the Monteverde palette. This was the Cloud Forest palette. I debated putting this in here because it also, greens say spring to me for sure, but this also was like summer to me. So I went back and forth, but I do think, it definitely crosses over into summer. This is one of my favorite Nomad palettes. And I know for some, the color story was really intimidating and they just couldn't get into it. But if you love greens, like, you need this palette. It's so good. And there's lots of punchy, vibrant looks that you can get out of this. All right, next we have, I don't know that everyone would think to put this in a spring category, but this is the Tiny Marvels Mel Thompson's palette with Sydney Grace. This says spring to me. It's soft. It has neutrals in it, but it has like the beautiful green, the purple, like a mauve shade in here. It has this gorgeous, like, shifty green brown that I love so much. This duochrome is just gorgeous. And this is a sentimental palette, and Sydney Grace is one of my absolute favorite brands. So, I was like, you know what? That is spring to me. Like, it's subtly spring, but it's just, this is still available, and I just highly recommend it. Like, the quality is fantastic. If you've never tried Sydney Grace, this would be an excellent way to try it out. So highly recommend this one. Then we have one that I've talked about. I have a video on it. It's definitely going to be in my tops of the year. I can already tell. This is the Muse palette by Cosmic Brushes. This is going to go down as one of my favorite spring palettes for sure. It's so pretty. The quality is there. It's very inexpensive. It's $23. It's supposed to be restocked. I'm not sure when. She said it's going to be like a permanent palette. It's just like the demand, like, this brand is so hyped. So when she gets it back in stock, highly recommend it. Like, absolutely amazing palette. Then we have the Mariposa palette by Melt. I freaking love this palette. I'm actually wearing the blush palette today. And you guys, like, even the pack, there's so much weight to this packaging. Like, it's cardboard, but it is a dense, heavy cardboard. It is so beautiful. I think I love this palette. I don't even know how to talk, but it brings the eyes to life. The couple of times that I have worn it and had it in my stories on Instagram, people are like, what is on your eyes? And it's this. It's just the mattes. When Melt gets mattes right, they are very hard to beat. And this one is just so good. All right, the last, until we get into my two kind of honorable mentions that I have not tried yet. Well, this is fun packaging here by Glamlite. This is the Ice Cream Dream palette. So here it is. It's got the fun confetti sprinkles in there. And ultimate spring palette. It's just, it's pastels, but it's also almost neons in here. It's punchy. It has, like, from light to a little bit deeper. It's got a few neutrals in here. Really, really beautiful shimmers. Like this lemon shade, like, gorgeous yellow. Look how pretty that is. Yeah, I think, if you haven't ever tried Glamlite and you like color, I think this is really, like, one of the best that you could possibly get. All right, now my two honorable mentions that I have not tried yet, but I predict will one day rank in my tops for spring palettes, is the Garden of Juvia's by Juvia's Place. Easter in a palette once again. I may wear this on Easter to try it out for the first time. but I mean, these purples in here are beautiful, these yellows, and Juvia's, if you've never tried their formula, you absolutely have to. It is very inexpensive and very high quality. Then lastly, I'm so embarrassed that I have not tried this yet. It's the Lure palette by Blend Bunny. Blend Bunny is one of my favorite brands. Why I have not tried this yet, I don't know. I debated on putting this in here because I was like, is this spring? Is this summer? Is this winter even? Because you have some really deep shades in here. I think this one really works for everything. Like, it's not really fall. Well, I guess you could in this quad down here. But really the light blues and greens in here, purples, maybe go, okay, this could definitely be spring. And the Blend Bunny is one of my favorite formulas. The mattes are like amazing. Can't wait to play with this. I may do a video on it. I'm not sure yet, but yeah, I'm sure it'll be one of my favorites, and also packaging is gorgeous. So that is it, you guys. That is my little top 15 spring palettes plus 2 bonus ones. Let me know your thoughts down below. If you have these palettes, if you want these palettes, what I left out that you have. And as always, have fun shopping. Budget shopping. Bye.